Hey, what's up, guys? Mr. Surplus Nut bringing the second video to this series that I'm making on the P-64 Radom that I purchased from AIM Surplus. And I just want to talk about the gun a little bit and let you guys know what a great purchase this has been. I'm very happy with the actual gun that they sent me. Hardly no wear on the bluing, and very nice, in very good conditions. And these have been admitted into the ATF CR list, so meaning that if you have your CR license, you can order this and get it to your house right through UPS second day. Okay, right now I'm just gonna show you guys real quick that the weapon is unloaded. There's no rounds in the magazine, empty magazine. I'm gonna set the magazine aside, and there's nothing on the gun itself. Okay, now on this weapon we have a capacity of a magazine of 6 rounds, and you can keep one in the chamber. That will give you a 6+1 capacity and firepower out of this weapon. It shoots the version of the 9mm Makarov, which is a 9x18mm round. Is considered to be, as far as power, between the 380 and the 9mm. It's right in between there, so it is a little bit more powerful than the 380, and it's just a little bit below on power from the 9mm. This is a double action, single action gun, meaning that when you first cock the gun, okay, the gun right there, it's gonna be on single action. Now the trigger pull on this P-64 on single action is very light, very crisp, and very enjoyable to use. Okay, I haven't tested it, but to me it will probably be about 3 pounds, 3.5 pounds. Very light trigger. Now on double action, the trigger is very terrible, to be honest with you. It's extremely terrible. It's got a, I believe, a 24-pound pull from what I've read up on it and heard about this weapon. And it is very hard to pull it. I mean, you can do it, but it's just unbelievable how hard this trigger pull is on double action. The reason that I've heard why they did that is because of the spring on there, because supposedly something to do with the primers on their rounds. But anyways, it's I don't think I will ever use this weapon on a double action mode. Why is that? Well, very simple. There's no need for it, and I will explain to you in a second why. Right now, before we get to that explanation, I just want to show you that the gun does comes with a external safety that also acts as a decocker. Once you engage the safety, you're decocking the gun from a double action mode over to you're engaging the gun from a single action over to a double action mode. And you do this by engaging the safety, which also acts as a decocker. It's got 2 little claws in the back, or little slide pins, that once you decock it, it flips out and it doesn't let the hammer strike the firing pin. So we'll go ahead and demonstrate that right now. Right now we will be cocking the weapon. Okay, right there we have the hammer back. This weapon right now is in double action mode right now, and if we get the safety and drop it down, not only are we going to get the gun into safety, but we're going to be decocking that hammer. And it's got 2 small claws in the back, as you can see there. Those two little claws right there inside, that they will flip up. You can see the firing pin right in the middle, and I'm gonna try to see how they came up. Okay, and it will block. There it goes, going up. It blocks the hammer from hitting the striker pin. Okay, now this gun, it is on safety mode, and also it doesn't have the magazine, but with the magazine in it, once you have it on safety, it disengages the trigger. Okay, once you bring it back to firing mode, okay, now you have a double action trigger pull, which is very undesirable. Now, what I will do, if I was to carry this thing already, let's say I already have a round on the chamber and I have decocked it, okay, and right now the gun's ready to be fired, but only on double action. Your first trigger pull will be a double action pull. Then from there on, your hammer obviously will cycle, will stay back, and the gun will be constantly on a single action mode. But if I was to carry this like this, what I will do, okay, at the moment of draw or anything, all you have to do, draw it out, pull it back, and you're back in single action mode. Okay, it will be very simple. As you draw in the weapon, it takes a quick pull of the hammer, and that's it. So that's why I'm saying I don't think I will ever use that atrocious double action pull on that hammer. It's just too much. Even if you go to the range, you can use this technique. You really don't have to. If you want to try just to get used to it, whatever. Or there's an option from Wolf that they sell you a set of a spring kit, hammer spring kit, and I believe they have an 18 pounder. I believe they have a 19, a 20, and a 22 to change the hammer spring in the back. Some people, they've gone down to the 19-pound spring or 18-pound spring, and they're saying that the trigger is much nicer to use. But I've also heard in cases where they have shot the gun and on recoil, the magazine for whatever reason has popped out. Maybe it's a particular gun. I don't really think that hammer spring will probably do that on all of them. I don't know. I will be thinking about it, whether I go ahead and order that spring from Wolf, the hammer spring. Right now it's got, I believe, a 24-pound hammer spring. That's why the trigger is so hard. You can go with it, bring it down to an 18-pound hammer spring, and that will really lighten up the trigger a lot. But again, if you don't want to go through all that, I took the grips off to look at it. It doesn't really look that easy, or I mean, there's no videos out there telling you how to replace the spring on this weapon. So basically, I will have to kind of like get into it to see if it's very difficult or not. I've been looking around. Nobody has put a video on how to replace the hammer spring on these. But again, since I figured out that you really don't have to, if you don't want to use that double action real hard trigger pull, you can either fire this gun in a self-defense situation or at the range. Once you have one in the chamber, once you have decocked it, and you can keep it on safety, and basically all you have to do is just a quick pull of the trigger back. That will do it. Now, if you don't want to go through the problem of disengaging the safety in a self-defense situation, because that will give you two actions to get into defense mode by taking your safety off and then pulling the trigger. Since this has such a hard trigger pull, I think this gun will be pretty safe. Once you chamber a round and you decock it, it will be pretty. I wouldn't put the safety on, is what I'm trying to say. Okay, once I engage the a round on the gun itself, the gun will be on double action mode, meaning that I will have to go through this very hard trigger pull to fire the weapon. So why am I gonna put it? This is so hard. This already is acting as a safety. Why am I gonna go ahead and put it on safety? And then in any situation that I unholster the gun, I gotta take the safety off real quick and pull the trigger if I wanna go into, if I wanna avoid pulling that really hard trigger. So what I'm trying to say is that once you engage it and you have a round on the chamber, I would just leave it without the safety. And all you have to do when you take the gun out of the holster, just pull the trigger, the hammer back, and you're ready to go. So that will be kind of like your safety, having to pull the hammer back to get it into single action, or unless you want to go through the hard pull of the trigger and to get the gun to fire on double action. So to be honest with you, this hard trigger pull might become handy. Okay, being that you got to go through that, I mean, the gun can always be ready without a safety on once it's chambered, because such a hard trigger pull. I mean, I doubt it. Something's gonna catch this trigger and by itself make it go off. It's 24 pounds of trigger pull, so we're talking about a lot of pull just to get this thing snagged on something or whatever and have it to go off on you. I doubt it if you get a pretty good decent holster. So the gun has, believe it or not, a con against it, which in another way it's a plus. Okay, like I'm saying, me personally, I will never use this weapon in a double action trigger pull mode. I just wouldn't do that. It's just too hard unless I change the spring on it, and I wouldn't do that. Okay, so my advice will be, this is how I'm gonna use it. Okay, once I have the magazine and the weapon, you cycle it. Okay, you're gonna have already a round on the chamber, and what I will do, safely engage the safety to also decock the hammer. Okay, to decock the hammer. Now the gun is ready to fire, but on this long double action trigger mode. So what I will do, I'll even take the safety off after I decocked it, and actually it fell into safety. I'll take the safety off, okay? And in any situation, all I have to do, draw the gun. If I feel like using the double action hard trigger pull, fine. And if not, as I pull out the gun real quickly, all you have to do, pull the hammer back, you are in single action mode. So it's not really that bad, guys. Okay, now the gun is in extremely nice shape. I got something more than what I was suspecting. They were talking about a little bit of wear on the slide due to the holster. This gun came with hardly no wear at all. Okay, all you have, it's a little bit here on the edge that you can barely tell. Okay, you can barely tell, which I'm not gonna go through the problem of trying to retouch it and reblue it, because every time you try to retouch something and reblue it, the bluing will never come out as the same tone as the original bluing on the gun. It will always give you a different shade, and yeah, from far away you might not notice it, but it's there, believe me. I learned this from my gunsmith. Okay, and that's how it is. Anybody that's experiencing bluing will let you know the same thing. Okay, so this is my P-64, my new toy that I bought for concealed, and we'll come back and do another part, and we'll go ahead and disassemble the weapon. Subscribe to my channel, watch all the different videos to this P-64, and I'll be right back.